if somebody's right now in their like mid-20s and their mid-30s and they're like, I just don't have that drive and work ethic, what would you suggest for them to do to be able to find that grit and the work ethic to get to where they want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people have the motivation, they just don't know how to get there. So a lot of times they just don't have the directions.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of It Takes Grit. I am getting giddy in my seat right now because check out who is on our podcast this week. It's only Chris Gronkowski. He is a former NFL player turned entrepreneur. He is the ice shaker maker. This water bottle, everybody, I am obsessed. And he even put, look, the girls are going to love this. We got BTES on my brand new water bottle. I love this. I love the fact it's got a straw because when I'm doing a podcast and I've got lip gloss on, this is absolutely perfect. And Ice Shaker was also on Shark Tank, so you guys probably already recognize him. He's also got another business called Everything Decorated, which I've actually been looking for things that are personally branded for an event that I'm doing. So girlies, you are going to love that. Go check it out. And we've also got Gronk Fitness as well. And Chris, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me on the It Takes Grit podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here. I like the intro. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Lo. It's so epic because most people, especially if you're a girl, you want a decent water bottle, but straws. And now that's where I'm coming from. Like, that's my type of audience where I'm like, we have lip gloss on, we've got lip balm, we don't want to get it messed up. So I love the straw. That's absolutely fantastic. And it's so durable. Like, it's brilliant. And I've actually used it in a lot of my workout videos. It's actually in the set behind scenes. So lots of them are going to be able to, and they're going to be like, where's that from? I'm like, boom, there it is.
There it is. There it is.
I love it. So you have got so many accolades to your name, but one of the biggest things that my audience loves to know is, where did people get started from? Like, were you always an entrepreneur? Were you always an athlete? Like, where did you grow up and what was life like for you growing up as a kid?
Yes. Yeah. I'll bring it back to Buffalo, New York. So I'm the middle of 5 brothers. 4 of us went on to play in the NFL. The oldest brother actually got drafted into the minor leagues for baseball. So growing up, we didn't really have much. People think we came for money. It wasn't the case. My dad worked 2 jobs for 6 years. My mom sewed our sweatpants back together and our socks, and did everything she can to put food on the table. Couponing, everything you could think of. So growing up, what was cool about it was we had to earn everything we had. Our parents didn't have the means to give us everything at first. So if we wanted something, it was cool. Go get a job. We had a newspaper route at the age of 12. I was umpiring at the local baseball fields. I was working for my dad at age 15, delivering fitness equipment. So we were taught to earn everything we had, which I think really helped us later on down the road, and also helped us with athletics. We became super competitive, mostly just because there's 5 boys in a household and we weren't allowed to watch TV. For the most part, we just had to go outside, get outside, and we'd have our friends over, and everything just turned into a big competition, which really led us into sports and helped us excel there. So childhood was crazy. It was definitely crazy, a lot of fun. And it was just the right way. We were raised the right way. Everything was about get your work done first and then get outside and play.
I think that's so true. And a lot of times people think about, well, how do you have all of this? And you have this life, you've created this for you. But I think a lot of it comes from it's work ethic. For me, it's like work ethic. Now, do you think that is something that people are born with, or is that something that people can develop?
I think it's development for sure. I mean, that was the atmosphere that we were put into. That's the way our parents raised us. And you see all the time where some parents have a lot of money, they gave everything to their kids, and the kids usually don't turn out to be very successful themselves because everything was handed to them. So I think it's a product of the environment. People ask me today, like, hey, what motivates you? And I'm, for me, it's still, this is all I know. This is how I was raised. It was hard for me to get up and not do something. So it's kind of just built into me because that's how I was born. That's how I was raised. And that's what I'm used to doing. So I definitely think it's the environment, and you could also, obviously learn all that yourself and develop good habits, but it definitely helps when you're put into a family that teaches you that from day one.
I definitely agree with you. I get that same question, like, what gets you motivated? I'm like, I don't know another way. I don't know how to not wake up and do the things that I need to do that helps my business, that helps other people. So yes, I grew up the same. I was a South of England field hockey player. I played sports. I think that teaches you a lot of discipline and hard work. So if somebody's right now in their like mid-20s and their mid-30s and they're like, I just don't have that drive and work ethic, what would you suggest for them to do to be able to find that grit and the work ethic to get to where they want to be? Or do you think that if you really want to be where you want to be, you'll just start taking the action?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people have the motivation, they just don't know how to get there. So a lot of times they just don't have the direction. So I tell people, put an actual game plan on paper, figure out where you want to get to, and then figure out how you actually get there and put those actual steps in place to get there. And then, you have to have some kind of way to measure it out. So after a month, you got to be at this step or you got to readjust the plan. But if you don't have a plan, even if you work hard, you're not going to go to the next level. And that's what I noticed in business right away. 3 years into the business, I didn't have a plan. I was grinding. I was up 4 a.m. I was working 12 hours easily every day, but it wasn't really excelling like I thought it would because I didn't have a game plan. I didn't really know how to measure things out. I didn't know how to build the team. And, at year 3, I sat back and said, I need to put something in place. Like I need a better game plan here. So I know how to get to that next step. I know what I'm doing. I know how to measure this. And once I did that, things changed tremendously, really overnight. So you can be a grinder all day, but if you don't have a game plan with it, you're not going to really get to that next step.
I think that's so relatable to a lot of people. Take me back to when you were playing in the NFL, you getting drafted. How does that feel? And how long were you in the NFL for? Like, tell me a little bit about your experience there. Because that's very different to business, right? That's very different. You've made a switch from sports to business.
Big time, big time. I mean, really the biggest change is, you're in an organization where they tell you what to do and then you leave and all of a sudden, you're on your own and you got to figure out everything on your own. You don't have that same structure and it's completely different. So that switch it's massive in it. And a lot of people struggle with it. But for me, I was actually undrafted. So I went undrafted to the Dallas Cowboys. I signed as an undrafted free agent. It was kind of an opportunity. It was a one and done kind of thing. Like if you don't ball out, if you don't make it, you're going home pretty quick here. So mindset was a whole new level. It was kind of this mindset where I had really no other option is what I really, in my mind at least, than to make the team because I had 3 other brothers that were all drafted. One of them was my younger brother who just went in the second round that same year that I did. So I didn't want to live with the fact that, I was the one brother who didn't make it, everyone asking me, hey, what happened to you kind of scenario. So in my mind, I had no other chance but to make this team, but to actually make it. So I ended up playing, starting for the Cowboys my rookie year. It was first time an undrafted free agent rookie had made the team in almost 10 years. So huge accomplishment for me. Went on to play for another 3 teams as well. And by the end of it, for what I did, I called it successful. I mean, most guys in the average is 2.5 years. I got 4 credited seasons. I got pension, retirement. I took that money and I put it into business. So it was extremely successful for me. Comparing it to my brother, who's a all-time one of the best players ever in the history of football, it might not look as successful, but for what I accomplished, it was definitely above what I thought I would be able to do.
I love that you say that because a big thing in life is comparison, right? I mean, whether we're comparing ourselves to our siblings, whether to people that we don't know, or to whether our friends. And I love what you said about like, that was really great for me. That doesn't take like your accomplishments are not like subdued because of what your brother did. How does that work with the 5 of you? I'm sure that you're boys, so you give each other a lot of banter and a lot of shit, right? For like, is there jokes that go around? I'm sure there's like some things like that happen, but on a more like emotional level, like how have you dealt with comparison, whether it's been within your own family or other people on the field too?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd even have a chance. So for me to even make it 1 year was like, damn, like this is awesome. Like I didn't even think, I thought it was a 1 in a million shot because that's what they tell you. And they tell you that from day one that, get your grades, get the school done, get the best degree you can because it's a 1 in a million chance. And I wasn't even the best in my own family. Probably wasn't even the second best or third best. So I really didn't think I had a chance. So for me to make it even 1 year was a huge accomplishment for me. So the comparison thing never really bothered me. I was really more proud of my family members because I knew the work that it took to get to where they're at. For my brother to play 12 years was like, wow, that's insane, man. Like I got 4 in and I was beat down. Like that was an absolute grind. So, to triple that, I'm like, man, that's so impressive. Really more proud than anything else. So I don't think that really came into play with me. I know with a lot of other guys and egos, stuff like that, it could really affect people, but that was just really never the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I read a post the other day that said the difference between an insecure person and someone who is like confident and happy. And it was like, if you're confident and happy, you're going to be inspired by those around you who are doing well rather than feeling jealous of them, right? You're going to be, grateful for your own experience rather than complaining about what you don't have. And I think it's so easy, especially females do this all the time. We're like, why am I not doing this? Why don't I look like her? And instead of comparing yourself to somebody else, compare yourself to where you were this time last year. Like you said, you got 4 years, you thought you were only going to get 1. Like, that's amazing. But I feel people lose that sometimes. They lose the things that did happen and they focus on the stuff that's, not going to help them succeed further on in life.
Yeah, big time. It's easy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with social media. I mean, all you see is the good and you don't post the bad. I mean, a great example, and I'm kind of mad that I don't have photos from it. But when I first started the company, I was right here in this room I'm in now, and it was a disaster. I didn't want to show anyone because I was embarrassed. But our first shipment came in of bottles. I had 10,000 bottles. Half of them were bad. They all leaked. You picked it up, and they all leaked because for whatever reason on that batch, they were made wrong after we did everything we could to make sure what happened. It happened. So I had to sit up here in the upstairs in my house and twist every lid off and change every single one of them. It took me months to do. And that's kind of how everything started. It was a disaster at first. And I just didn't show anyone, but now I wish I could go back and do it. But that's what you see on social. You see all the great things. I would never have posted that, especially then, because no one wants to showcase failure. So you kind of get lost in it and you see all the great things without seeing the behind the scenes. So I see how it happens, but now going back, I wish I had those photos though.
I know you always do. You're like, but you never show them at the time because you're trying to build something, but they're great to look back on and be like, this is where I started. So tell me, I love these. You have so many different products. Tell me the story. Why these bottles? How did it come about? Because you were in the NFL and now you're on Shark Tank. So tell me the story of like, where did you get the idea from and why did it happen?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm done playing. I was actually about 5 years out at that point, but I was going to the gym all the time. I was working with my wife with an engraving company and it was doing really well. We were actually, my first 3 years with her, I'm making more than I was making playing in the NFL. So it was super successful. I didn't need anything else, but I just identity wise and what I was super passionate about was sports and fitness. So I wanted to find a way to get back into that. I was at the gym here in Texas. It was super hot out. I grabbed a plastic shaker bottle. By the time I got there, I was sweating. I took a sip of it, tasted awful. And I was like, there's got to be something better out there that would actually keep my drink cold in the heat, but also be able to blend powders up. Super simple idea. Went home that day, figured I'd jump on Google or Amazon, just snag a bottle. And at that time, there was just nothing out there. There was some that were insulated. Yeti was around, but the bottles that were out there that you could actually mix something in had like a little tiny opening on them. There's nothing to actually blend them. So I, right then and there was like, hey, I see an opportunity. Sounded like a simple idea. And I jumped on it, not realizing how much it would actually take to get it off the ground and build a whole brand out of it. But I was super excited about it. I was super passionate and I just went in.
So tell me, the first step is like, okay, I want to create this product because loads of people have ideas. Everyone's always like, well, I thought of that. It's like, great. So why didn't you do it? If someone, because I have, girls out there in my audience, they are kind of like on the cusp of like, I'm interested in like starting my own business, earning some extra hustle on the side, but like, I don't even know where to start. So tell me the story of what was the first step? And then how did you get 10,000 of them that then didn't work? And how much did that cost you?
Oh yeah. So the first step, I mean, everyone has the idea, right? Even when I launched the company and then get on Shark Tank, I had so many messages saying like, oh, cool, bro. I thought of that 2 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you did. It's really easy to think of ideas. It's really hard to actually put them in motion. So for me, I always started everything as a side hustle. I started small. I wanted to make sure it worked first. I was doing this on my own free time. on weekends, after work, stuff like that. And then once it started to be successful, I went all in. But to get the first product made, we did have connections already with my wife's company. We were already sourcing products for her. So I reached out to my same supplier and just said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. We made just a very, very basic double walled cup. We vacuum insulated it and we threw a shaker top on top of it. And that was pretty much it. The first cup was hilarious. I still got some copies, but very, very basic. Ended up calling it ice shaker because at that time and really until last year, Blender Bottle actually had the wire whisk ball patented. So I couldn't even put it in it anyways. So I had to figure out a way to kind of blend. So I made up this idea that basically you put ice in it and you shake the ice to blend the powder, which isn't an ideal way to do it because once you put ice in a bottle, it doesn't really blend that well because it's too cold. So the second edition, we did make an agitator. It ended up being one of our patented parts of the product, but yeah, so it just super, super basic idea. Probably about 20 prototypes later, like we kept changing the seals and trying to like change little things on the cup and the pop tops and stuff. And finally we had something perfect. Never had issues with the pop top ever out of all the prototypes we got. And then I order a big order of 10,000 of them to start with, not realizing like how many cups that really is and how hard it is to sell through that much product when no one even knows who you are. So I order it, it comes in and I shake like the first 10 and they're fine. And I get to the 11th one and I just fill it with water and just tip it upside down. And it just starts like just 100% pouring out on the ground, like not even close to being sealed. I'm like, oh man, I must not have closed it all the way. And I check, I'm like, yep, it's closed. So at that point, we had to change out every lid. So it took months. The good thing was the manufacturer paid for all the new lids. They shipped them all in. I just had to replace them myself, throw them in the garbage, but definitely not an ideal start. So man, yeah, getting started is hard because you need money, you need an idea, you need a game plan. I had no game plan. Like my game plan was awful. I didn't put any type of business plan in place. So when I got it, I didn't know what to do. I did a couple social posts. I didn't sell. I sold one the first week, I think. And then I went to Amazon and I think this is a good way to get started and to test a product at first is to bring it to a marketplace. So my wife's business started with Etsy. You know, you're pretty much borrowing someone else's audience to make sure that it's actually going to sell, right? So we used Etsy for her and then built the website. So I did the same thing, but I used Amazon this time. You know, went to Amazon, put the product on there. I figured out how to get it ranked higher just by looking at everyone else's listings, looking at the photos, the keywords, all that stuff. And I was able to get it to the third highest ranked listing without any paid ads at all for the word shaker bottle, which was the highest search term by volume for what my product was. So I was able to get that to the third spot and started selling a lot of bottles and then started doing a bunch of trade shows as well. And I was able to get up to about $80,000 in sales in the first 6 months before I got into Shark Tank.
Wow. That's amazing. So I want to go back though. So those lids that you had to just get new lids. Was it just new lids that they had to send you, or did they have to send you 10,000 new complete bottles?
10,000 new lids. So I had to change all the lids out. Yeah.
How long did that take you?
It was probably about 3 months. The good thing is like we weren't selling many. So as they sold, I could change them out.
Like one at a time. I think that's the thing is a lot of times you go, great, I've got this product and I'm just going to like post it online and everyone's going to buy it. But now people actually get sold on like the 17th or 21st touch. Like I think it's a lot harder now to like sell stuff. And so you had already sold 80,000. And so basically using Amazon to get the rankings up there, you've already got the proven product. How many times did you have to reach out to Shark Tank to get on? What was that process look like? I was actually speaking at the same event that one of the Shark Tank, Raymond was on the other day. Damon was on the other day. And it was, you know, he's amazing, like just incredible. But that's scary going into a room and having to pitch the idea. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I got lucky on this. It was kind of the game plan as well, though. So when I was playing, my agent reached out and he just said, hey, ABC Shark Tank is looking for any current or former NFL players to come on the show. Because for them, for ABC, for Shark Tank, they're trying to grow the audience. So if there's players that come on, it's obviously going to help drive some of the NFL fans too. So I saw the emails 2012. I was playing with the Broncos at the time. And, you know, I just loved the show. So I saved the email and I was like, one day when I'm done playing, I'm going to go back and I'm going to have something awesome to send them. So Fast forward was like 4.5 years later. I reached back out to that same email and I was like, hey, I have this great idea. And the girl that's email was on there was like, sorry, like I don't work there anymore. So luckily she immediately like followed up and found the girl that replaced her and put me in contact. So they just asked for a video submission. At that point, they said, hey, please send over video, gave me the guidelines. So I got to skip a lot of like, going to the convention center and the kind of like the very first steps to get on to Shark Tank, and got kind of pushed right to the video submission part of it. So I don't know how many steps that skipped. It was probably like 1 or 2 steps maybe for someone who just doesn't have a contact at all. And then from there, it was still a significant process of, following up pretty much every week. And they started, I think, with 40,000 people and got it down to just, I think they get it down to about 100 or 150 that actually have a chance to go on the show and record. So pretty significant process. And then what people don't realize is even when you get there, sometimes you don't record. If they get a bunch of good episodes before that, they sometimes send people home. So even when you get to the hotel to record, sometimes it still doesn't happen. And then even if you do record, sometimes you still don't air. So I think only about 70% of the shows actually air. So if you go up there and your show is just garbage, you don't perform well, sometimes they'll still use it just to kind of like, so they need some bad ones, but other times they just won't show it at all. So the whole process is pretty intense. You don't know when you're going to air until about 2 weeks before. So you really only have about 2 weeks to actually prepare for the show to air. So if you want to stack up on inventory, you're almost kind of gambling because you don't know when and you don't know if you are actually going to air on the show.
I think it's really important to say, because there's a lot of people out there going, well, that's fine. Like, you already had the email 4 years ago. And people look at me, they go, it's okay for you. You have, followers on Instagram. It's like, well, yeah, but I did the work to get there. You were in the NFL. You had to work really hard to get into the NFL and play for 4 years. And you remembered that email and you did your due diligence and you went and found it. So a lot of times I think we're like, oh, well, I kind of got the fast way there. I don't think that's the fast way at all. It's like you had to grind hard in a sport that then flipped you into business. So, out there, anybody who's listening, yes, it's amazing because, Chris was in the NFL, but what are the contacts that you have had? What work have you done to get to where you want to be so that those relationships come forward? I feel like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And relationships come towards you because you're working hard, and that's how you build relationships.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and significantly in business, it's the same way. If you do a good job, you put the work in, it's crazy how long sometimes it takes, but people come back and they remember that stuff too. So even if you're an athlete and you're grinding and you're putting that work in, it's funny because players remember you then. They start other things and friendships you made back then, and people saw you working hard. They want to work with you again in the second thing that they're doing in life. So yeah, it's definitely true. The more work and the harder you work, the more, I guess, the more lucky you get.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those people who haven't seen the show, what happened with you when you got there? What was the next step for you?
Yeah, so when I got there, we ended up getting offers from all 5 Sharks. So all 5 came in, they made offers, ended up closing with Mark Cuban and Alex Rodriguez. After that, the show's it's legit. There's nothing made up about it. It is reality TV at its finest. It's actually real. They knew nothing about me except my first name. That was it. When I walked out on that stage, you get really drilled by the Sharks for probably over an hour. I was probably out there 45 minutes to an hour. I would say at least. It's hard to tell because, it's pretty intense. So you kind of lose track of time, but they knew everything about me, from before high school, what I did in high school, college, after college, every job I had, my game plans going forward, all that. And then they put real money into it. So they do their due diligence. It takes about 3 months for us to actually close the deal after the show. And then that money comes in. And then what really comes is the exposure. The sales from that airing is massive. We, kind of rode this huge wave for probably a month, right into the holidays and then right into New Year's resolution. And with that, the money that came in from the Sharks, from the sales, took us from one bottle, one color, one size. Within the next year, we had about 64 different SKUs at that point, and we went from that 80,000 to over 3 million in sales over the next 12 months.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. That's incredible. What was the percentage deal? Like what was the deal that you got?
So we ended up closing 100. They paid 150,000 for 15% of the company, and they split it between them too. So they both paid 75K for 7.5%.
And were you just pitching by yourself in there, or did you have someone with you?
No, so we brought all five brothers were in there. So I walked out initially. The four brothers were hiding in the back room, and they all ran out. We did like this massive flying chest bump about 2 minutes into the pitch. We ended up playing flip cup against the five sharks, so 5-on-5. And then from there, it just loosened up the room. You know, we were having fun, a lot of energy. And I still think like a lot of the really hard questions we avoided just because they saw the energy and they loved it. So I think it definitely helped having the confidence, but a high energy pitch as well.
Oh, energy is everything. And at the end of the day, these sharks have got to live and work with you. Like they've got to have you in their life. So if they don't like you, it's just in anything with business. If anyone's watching this right now, if you're not happy and excited and have high energy and have certainty about what you do, it's going to be really hard to attract people into your business. Like at the end of the day, you could have all the strategies in the world. You could have the best product, but if you're not happy, excited, and certain, you know, with high energy, you're not going to be able to create anything.
Especially with, trying to get the sharks to invest. I mean, these are multimillionaires, if not billionaires, and they don't need to work with anybody. So if they don't like your attitude, they don't like you because you're not excited about your own product, they're just going to step away from it because they have the choice not to work with you at this point. So, and it's a lot of work. I mean, the amount of work they put in to really close these deals and then help us afterwards. Mark has a full team that he's put together called Mark Cuban Companies, where it's 10 to 12 employees, and their job is just to help us, to help all the Shark Tank companies. So he puts a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. He reaches out, he gives us tickets, so whole sections to go to the game, to Mavs game, stuff like that. So, I mean, there's still a lot of effort that's put into it. And that's kind of crazy because he only invested $75,000 and he's a multi-billionaire. So he's got to actually want to be a part of it, and you got to get him excited. So that energy is big.
That's huge. So what's next for you and iShaker for 2022? Like, have you got more different personal goals that you're doing, or we just coming out with more products, more colors?
So we're all about partnerships now. So realize that, and as you go through business, you realize how important partnerships are and networking and relationships. So we are launching a U.S. Army partnership. We'll have the official U.S. Army camo bottle coming out in June. And we'll start doing a couple other partnerships as well. But that one is one that we're super excited about. New product launches for sure are coming. But yeah, we're cranking. So we're starting to really pick up in retail too. We just got into 1,900 Walmart locations, which is cool. So Vitamin Shop, GNC, Lifetime Fitness, Walmart, some grocery chains as well. So everything's going well. We have a really cool team here, cool culture, and it really just feels like a locker room again. Like I walk into the business or I get on our weekly calls and it's like, yeah, I feel like I'm playing again. It's kind of that feeling and that vibe that I get. So it's fun. It's fun. Everyone's on board and we're trying to win.
Yeah. And it's team, right? I mean, I grew up playing sports. And so like, I feel the same. I have my weekly team call, with all of my staff on Mondays. And like, I'm just excited about like what we've got coming up next. And it's just being part of something. What would your advice be for someone who is, getting to maybe they're just in the first like month of starting their business and they're getting some rejection, they're getting some no's, they're getting people say no?
Yeah, the no's, I've heard that a lot. Everyone hears no a lot. And that's really, it's a great way to get feedback and ask why. That's how you make your business better. And that's what I did super early on as well was, negative reviews are going to come, not be and hopefully it's not because of your service. That's the last thing you want is a negative review because of bad service. But if a negative review comes because the person just doesn't like your product for a certain reason, it's a great opportunity for you to make it better or to find out why, or to make a product extension. So we did that super early on. The negative reviews actually helped us grow more and helped us grow faster. So we took all that advice. People, they'd write on there like, hey, I hate this bottle. It doesn't have a handle on it. Okay, awesome. That just gave us an idea. Let's come back with a version 2 with a handle on it. I don't like the way the pop top closed. All right, cool. Let's fix it. Let's make it better. So we took all the negative and we asked why, and then we use that as constructive criticism. So if people are getting rejected now, they're super early on, ask why, figure out why, most people will tell you, and they'll, if you get them on the phone or you just simply ask them by email, hey, why, what can I do better next time? Why don't you like my proposal? What don't you enjoy about the service or product? They're going to tell you, and it gives you an opportunity to then say, hey, let's fix this. Let's make this better. Let's figure out how to do this so more people like it, so we become more successful. So don't get frustrated with it. Use it as constructive criticism, which is hard because that's your baby. You just started it and you think it's the best thing in the world, but that's how you have to look at it if you want to win and you want to continue being successful with your company.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much. So much great value. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for just sharing half an hour of your time with us. And congratulations on all your success. Where can everybody find you and get one of these ice shakers? Guys, you want one of these. These are the best thing. I have like so many different water bottles, but I'm loving this, especially the one with the straw.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely check me out at Chris Gronkowski. I'm everywhere on social media. So a lot on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm even on Pinterest, I think. So actually, I know I am because I posted there yesterday. So check that out. At Ice Shaker is our handle for the company, and iceshaker.com. Like I said before, GNC, Walmart, Vitamin Shop, Lifetime Fitness. We're starting to really hit retail as well. So check us there too.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris. What's up? Well, guys, and make sure that you go and check Chris out and then get yourself an ice shaker bottle. We're going to need to get some own BTS ones. I know that this one's perfectly branded for me, but we might have to have a chat with Chris and see how we can get everyone one of these as well. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Make sure that you leave us a review. Go follow Chris, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.